This is the DJI Mavic 3 Pro, 1 year later. We're right around the mark of 1 year since the release of the DJI Mavic 3 Pro. So how is it in 2024 and how does it stack up to the competition? But before we get into the details of this drone, I just have to say it's still one of the best drones you can get, the most high-end cinematic drone for YouTube style videos. I know there are bigger and better drones, but I'm talking about the ones that are easy to fold up and put into your backpack. So what this drone actually can provide is a very stable, really good platform for filmmakers. And I know there have been different things that over the year have been changed to really upgraded. I know there have been things that they upgraded after the fact. For example, if I remember correctly, at the very beginning, this drone didn't actually support any picture profile on the tightest lens, which is the 166mm equivalent. The 7x zoom. On that lens you could only record in normal, but now you can actually record in D-Log-M, because at the very beginning you could only record in D-Log on the main sensor, then you would have the D-Log-M on the second sensor, and then you would have a normal on the last sensor, making it really hard to mix and match those shots because everything is recorded in something else. Now you can actually record the two zoom lenses, so the ×3 and ×7, the 70mm and the 166mm, you can record both in D-Log-M, which is already making it so much better, and you could actually record on the main with the D-Log-M too, and have all of those three lenses on the same profile, which makes it so much better for post-production. But in my opinion, I would still prefer use the D-Log on the main sensor to really take full advantage of this camera, and then have the two other lenses on the D-Log-M. It has like a big head with three different eyes that you can use for different kind of occasions, and each camera is a little bit different. So the main camera on the bottom is the Hasselblad 24mm equivalent, so it's pretty much like most of the drone shots you're gonna see online. This is from this kind of a focal length, so about 24mm. So in this case we have a huge sensor being a micro four thirds. A fun fact, this channel actually started with the cameras with the micro four thirds sensors, so it's really nice to see now that I have a drone that has that kind of a huge sensor in a drone. But this sensor is amazing. It has a really nice high dynamic range. You really see that in photos and videos that nothing is being clipped either in the highlights or the shadows. It has a huge dynamic range which really makes it stand out, and you can record in all the formats that you want. For photos, it's the RAW and JPEG, and for the videos, you can record in over 5K 60 frames per second, and in 4K 120 frames per second, or in my favorite mode, which is usually the 4K 60 frames per second for my workflow. You can record in all different picture profiles, so that means we have the normal, HLG, which is hybrid log gamma, we also have the D-Log-M, and then we have the proper D-Log. If we go over to the two top different lenses, those two lenses are the ones that really make this drone so much different from any other drone out there. And while the main camera is just amazing and really a step above all the other cameras on smaller drones of this size or smaller, one of them is the 70mm equivalent. Thanks to this, we have a really nice shot that you can really have like a hero shot, someone in the frame, and you have like a little bit of the background compression, so everything seems a little bit closer, a little bit bigger, but the main focus can be still achieved like that hero shot of someone walking. Is just a beautiful in-between, because you can still have a lot of background in your shot, but also have a little bit closer to the subject. It just makes it so easy to get those cinematic shots very easily. And the 166mm equivalent, this one is a much bigger zoom, and I think this lens is more suited for those special occasions. And fortunately for us in Krakow, we have a lot of things in the city that really makes it easy to use that lens, but I believe that in travel scenarios 70mm is going to be easier to get those fast shots, while the 166mm is going to be better for those occasions. And like I said, if you have an occasion to use it, it's gonna be beautiful. It really compresses the background so much and can really have something that is kilometers away from you seem like it's just behind you. On the other hand, the 166mm can be a little bit harder to use because you're zoomed in so much more, which means in turn it can be a little bit trickier to have someone right in the middle of the frame. But on the other hand, the two smaller equivalents, so the 24, the main sensor, and the 70mm, can actually do the active track, so that lets you just focus on flying while you are sure that the focus is on the person that you're shooting with. But all three of those lenses, they really create film-like videos. The main camera is just overall quality, is just amazing, while the two others, because of their focal length, they really make it look like from a movie. In 2024, there's pretty much no competition to this drone, other than maybe the Mavic 3 or the Mavic 3 Classic, but there you lose the extra lenses depending on the one that you pick, but you never get all three of them. So it's really, nothing can be really compared to this drone itself. And from flight characteristics, I have to say, it flies amazing. It is a very stable platform, even though, you know, it's a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier, and also it just sounds a little bit, you know, beefier compared to like flying with the Mini. So maybe a Mini is a little bit more incognito compared to the drone like this. This is for those that know what they're doing. This is not a drone that everybody's gonna get, and I understand that with that comes a little bit different kind of characteristics of the flight, and those people usually are not going to be concerned about how loud the drone is or how strong it is, because they know what they're doing and they are okay with what it is. And here is the only caveat that I have for this drone, is because it's a little bit heavier, it actually goes over 900 grams, which compared to Mavic 3 and 3 Classic, which don't go over the 900 grams, means that this drone is actually, as the sticker suggests, classified as C2. And in turn, it means there are different qualifications compared to the C1, so the Mavic 3 and 3 Classic. And even though it looks almost identical in terms of the body, other than the head itself with the cameras and the gimbal, because they pretty much use the same body and added even more weight on the front, it has different regulations and different certificates that you need for this drone, and it's a C2 instead of C1 like the Mavic 3 and 3 Classic. Which is a little bit of a shame, because if they were able to shave it just slightly, this would be so much better. But it is how it is. But overall, because of the shape and the way it works and the strength that this drone has, it's a very stable and good platform. Even in 166mm on the tightest lens that we have here, I was able to get really stable and smooth footage with this drone. It just feels very sure when flying with this. It really feels like it's something that is very powerful, and you know you can really rely on it. And even with the return to home now having the AR function, meaning that on your controller you actually see an overlay where this drone is gonna fly to. So you see like an AR overlay to your location with this drone, which is really cool. And if you have the Fly More combo, you can actually have 2 hours of flight times thanks to this great, really strong and pretty beefy big batteries with a nice design. And now we have 2 hours of flight time. But before we go into what is in the Fly More combo, I just have to say the build quality is really strong, and knowing that usually I would fly with the Mini 3 Pro because of the weight and size and it just being so easy to set up and start flying, and knowing that it's made to be so lightweight, only 249 grams, having this in your hand really makes a difference in terms of like the build quality, and you see the difference of going all in on the being lightweight to something that has to work as good as possible and not really focused on shaving weight. And last but not least, when I talk about the return to home, you have to remember that this drone has 360 degrees coverage in terms of the sensors and obstacle avoidance, but remember to be safe when flying. Don't really focus on that. Rather, use it as something that is going to help you in case of an emergency. But yes, all these different sensors that we have, so the 2 on the front and 2 on the back, they are made into more like a fisheye, so they really can take advantage of all the coverage. We also have the sensors on the top and on the bottom, as well as having additional sensors and also the 2 lights on the bottom. Overall, this drone is still pretty much the king of the cinematic style of videos. If you want to have the best quality and also not like a drone that you have to have like a huge, car to just have with you, not something like an Inspire, but something you can really have in your backpack if you wish so. And last but not least, I really like the Fly More combo that you have with this drone. You have a nice carrying bag, shoulder bag to be exact, packed, and from here we have a little bit more. So you have the RC controller with the built-in screen, which I really love because they're so much faster to start up and start flying. Usually what I do is I turn it on and put the controls into it, and in the time when this is turning on, I'm actually opening up and turning on the drone itself. But if you want to use a different controller, there are options to have that too, but I just feel like for average consumer like me, this is more than enough. It's really easy to use and a great option. Other than that, we also have a charging dock with 2 extra batteries. So essentially with those 2 extra batteries and the original in the drone itself, you have 2 hours of flight time. I was flying in pretty much no wind situations, or at least it felt like it, and especially with the drone you really don't feel the wind at all in terms of flying. Well, the drone batteries, they last so much, I would be done with the shots like already for a couple of minutes, just having fun, flying around, and I would still be at like 50-60%. Yeah, they're really, really good. And last but not least, you know, if you're getting a pro drone, you might as well get something more, which means the ND filters. You know, having a pro drone and not having ND filters, I know there's use case scenarios when you really don't need an ND filter, or you just don't have the time to set up everything, you just want to go right away, and then you're gonna play around with the settings while you're in the air. And even though this drone on the main sensor, you can actually change the aperture, so you can really close it up or open it up depending on the situation. There's one more thing that is in the box. It is very nicely packed, and those are the DJI ND filters for the Mavic 3 Pro. You have all the way from ND8 to 64. You're covered for all of the scenarios you might find, and I just have to say I really like the box and the material that they used. So this is really premium, but it is a premium drone after all. In 2024, 1 year after its release, it really is like the champion of the smaller foldable drones if you want to have those professional shots in your videos, whether it's for work or professional kind of videos, because that is how good it is. You can literally use it for professional work, or if you want to have the best quality possible, and that is something that you look for your videos. So in my case, I want to make cinematic travel films. This is gonna be really upgrading my cinematics to the next level. So it is a beautiful drone to have, and there is really no competition for it in 2024. I just wish they kind of had an option to have like lighter batteries or something to really push it into the C1 category. But as it is, it's still a beautiful drone and a really good platform for filmmaking. Overall, I'm so satisfied with this drone. If you're one of those that has this drone, please let me know how are you liking the DJI Mavic 3 Pro after the year since it's been released, and what are your thoughts and opinions on it. And with that being said, that's gonna be the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and I'll see you next time.